that there are not many books that have people with a disability in as characters. So I thought, let me make Nzao a main character in this book, so that any child there living with disability does not become their disability, because really we all have our own disabilities. Some may not be physical, some may be mental, but because they cannot be seen, we pretend to be strong. But licha ya kuwa Nzao akona ulemavu, he can manage. He manages to even win an award. He manages to continue with the education. And there is a bright future for him. Yes.
Hivi kwa nini uliwahi kuona mwanafunzi aliyekuwa akiteseka akielekea shuleni, ama ni wazo tu kwa ujumla ya kwamba walemavu watambuliki kwenye jamii? Ama ulikuwa na mwanafunzi hasa ambaye unaweza kunionyesha huyu ndiye Nzao?
Actually, Nzao is my brother, an older brother. He had polio when he was growing up. And as children, because children can be cruel, we used to tease him a lot. Now when I grew up and read and interacted with people, I thought we were wrong. We were wrong. And I thought, even as a matter of apology to my own brother, let me create. And he was very clever in school. He used to be, we never used to ask him the position because they'd always be number one. Yeah, but his self-esteem took a beating. Yes. So that is what I actually based Nzao on my brother.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. That's amazing. Tupatie example nyingine.
Mama, I'm feeling quite painful, of course, from the walking distance that I had when I was going to school. But I so much wanted to go to school. I had wished that things will be better when we embrace education. If only we had a good piece of land to build our own house. If only we had a good piece of land to grow food. I know my mother doesn't have so much money, of course. Even my grandfather doesn't have so much money. But I believe from the little we have, we can succeed, moreover. This is a wishful thing, and I must stop. I must stop this wishful thing. I know it will come to pass. But what is the point? Mr. Moria gave us money that could not even feed us through the entire day, and I'll have to struggle, of course, to just maintain. Or maybe, Mama, I shall go back to the quarry.
No.
I shall go back to the quarry, of course, to have support to you.
No.
You're sick, Mom.
No. I know. But we'll manage. We'll manage, my son. The quarry is not a place for somebody like you.
Well,
we will manage. We'll manage, son.
Well,
you need to be in school.
Yes, I know, Mama.
It's you, masomo itabadilisha hali yetu. Kaa shuleni mwanangu.
After that word from Mama, I had to go back to school. And of course, I couldn't expect anyone to be there. And so I decided to go back to school, but with a sorrowful heart, I believed that there was room for change. Well, I never wanted Mr. Moria to see me walking away, so I had to use the funds. But if he sees me, rather, I don't know what will happen to me.
He's a good man.
But I'll have to go to school.
Please.
Mama, focus is key.
Surely.
I know they don't want me to school, and I'm fearful that everything will happen not as we planned.
No, masomo ni muhimu. Masomo ni muhimu mwanangu. Kaa shuleni.
Well done.
Kaa shuleni.
So, Muthoni, kwa nini haja ya kupitia kitabu chako ukasisitiza haja ya kusoma na kwenda shuleni as an enabler?
I am an example of how education gives somebody a chance. Nimetoka pahali pana I come from Laikipia.
Yes.
Laikipia Nanyuki kuna ukame sana. I grew up initial years in a mud house, then in a timber house, but there were times we would go hungry without food. But where I am now, it is because of the education that I got. And I believe that, I know when you were growing up, people would say, hakuna kazi kama, hata kama ukisoma, hakuna kazi. But we have realized that with education, it opens up your eyes, even to other opportunities. Now, like writing. I always tell people that I earn half of my living expenses. I get them from my writing. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have a white-collar job where you're seated in an office. You could use your talents like he's using them. You can use your talents, and it's only education that opens up the mind to the opportunities that are available. So that's why I insist education, it's actually an equalizer. From a very poor background, I can have a conversation with the CEO somewhere now. I can sit with people who are the who in society because of education.
Yes.
If I had not had a good education, I would not have had that chance. So I believe everyone needs a good education. Yeah.
Na hivi kumekuwa na maandamano ya jenzi, wengi wao wamesoma, wanalalamika kwamba hatupati hizi nafasi. Wewe kama mwandishi ili kupatia hisia gani? Nilihuzunika. Nilihuzunika sababu tulikuwa tunaona ni kama hao majenzi hawajasoma, hawasomi vitabu, lakini tumeona wanasoma. Wanasoma na they apply what they're learning from those books. Yes.
And my challenge is that we continue funding education. We continue funding, providing books to children. Every year I go to my former school and the school around and I donate books. I disturb my friends, donate books, donate money, I buy books and take them back there. Because I know that if I can only change the trajectory of one child's life, one child, my life will be worth living. So I hope that the government listens to the Gen Z and we are able to lower the cost of education,
yes,
lower the cost of books, so that an educated mind is going to change this country. And we have seen that. We can see that, we have seen that. Yes.
Yeah, and speaking about education, Mama, you know, I'm the best in mathematics in class. And so on and so forth. There was a time that I went to class and I done my assignment. Then Mr. Moria asked us to do the work on the chalkboard. Then when I did it, it was excellent. So Mr. Moria asked the class to clap for me. That was excellent. So I believed that was a room for achievement. Then, did you notice that the class now became very persuasive, that you know, that this boy is going to help us. When Mr. Moria asked them that now you should be like Nzao, you should be like me. And from that day onwards, I started teaching other pupils to achieve in the education. One of them I remember was Mwende. You know, Mwende was, you know, somehow not bad, but she was good in English, and I really tried to, you know, I'm best in mathematics and she's best in English, so we can work together.
Mnasaidiana.
Tunasaidiana
mama. Msaidiane kimasomo mwanangu.
Na Muthoni mtanguliza huyu mhusika Mwende ambaye walikuwa darasa moja. Lakini labda tu kwa hisani ya mtazamaji, unaweza kutupatia mtiririko wa mhusika. Tunaye mhusika mkuu ambaye ni Nzao, mtoto mwenye ulemavu. Pia tuna Mwende. Sasa labda unaweza kuelezea zaidi Mwende alikuwa nani na alikuwa anacheza nafasi gani katika mtiririko wa hadithi yako?
Mwende ni It's a good girl. She's a good girl. Anaelewa Kizungu. That was me in primary school, high school. I was very good in English. Na pia ana ile inaitwa empathy. Kwa kitabu, in one of the scenes,
yes,
she's late for school. They're not. She cannot make it to school on time, but she's walking with Nzao, who can't walk very fast, and Mwende walks with Nzao. And I think that's what we don't need pity, but we need empathy. So Mwende in the book is this the model child, the way we should treat people with disabilities with empathy. She walks with the Nzao. She gets into trouble, but the teacher finally forgives her and she says, I could not leave Nzao behind. Because why are we in such a hurry? Why don't we provide ways for ramps and a good way for a person with a disability to be able to access maybe a school? So Mwende provides a challenge to all of us. What are we doing? What are we doing to assist these people who have disabilities? Because they are us. I could get into an accident and become, have disability. So Mwende is very important. And of course also there is also that thing of teamwork, that when people work together, we are able to achieve more. So I wanted to bring that out, the character of Mwende, because she's strong in English, Nzao is strong in the mathematics, they help one another and they both succeed. Yes.
Na labda tu kwa hali halisia, kakako alikuwa na msaidizi kama yule pale, kulikuwa na Mwende, ama sasa Mwende ilikuwa wewe dadaki?
He was a bit older than me, but afterwards, yes. Afterwards, when we grew up and realized what we were doing, now we came in to assist. Yes.
Hai, kuna huyu mhusika mwingine, kabla hujanipatia hiyo dondoo nyingine, ya Kimeu.
Yes.
Kimeu the bully boy, ambaye kila wakati anamfedhehesha tu Nzao. Kimeu naye ni nani katika maisha yetu ya kisasa?
Kimeu ni yule tunaita kwa uandishi protagonist. Ni yule goes the opposite, provides a conflict in the writing, so that, because always when writing, it is somebody who wants to achieve something, but there is always those obstacles. So Kimeu is one of those people who provides conflict in the story and represents many people. The people who see a person with a disability and maybe they push them aside and they're there in the society. So I want to show, because we say that literature is a reflection of society. So I want Kimeu to be a reflection of us, those of us who do not behave well, who do not treat people with disability well. You see a person, like in malls, you'll see there's a place where somebody with a disability can park. And then you can see somebody just going there and parking there. So I wanted Kimeu to serve that. But in the end also, he changes towards the end. Because in any good literature, a person is able to grow. So that towards the end, there is a change. So we see him. We see Nzao feeling sorry for himself at the beginning, but he grows stronger as things. Yes, so Kimeu is that person, the protagonist. Yes.
Na unadhani ya kwamba kuna huo uwezekano wa akina Kimeu kubadilika sasa katika maisha halisia?
Remember hiyo riwaya ya Mui Huwa Mwema? There's always a chance for anyone to redeem themselves and to change. Yes.
Nzao?
When you're speaking about literature as a reflection to the community, I remember there was a time that I was in class. Then Kimeu had not done his homework. Thereafter, the teacher asked him why didn't he do his homework on time. Therefore, because I was great in class, and of course Kimeu was not so much great, he told me to do his homework for him. Therefore, I kind of refused, but Kimeu now decided that he'll place his book on my bag. later on the other day, then the teacher, Mr. Moria, asked us where our assignments. So Kimeu said that I, Nzao, went with his book. And I felt so bad when the teacher couldn't understand why Kimeu could put his book on my bag. And thereafter, Kimeu got angry with me every time. He started bullying me every time, together with his friend Umau. They weren't good friends at all. And I felt so bad when they were mistreating me in that way. Thereafter, I realized that if he hasn't done his homework, therefore I can't assist him. So I was always worried on my way home. I could just try use the bushy, deep places that were not road usable, and because I feared that Kimeu and Umau will beat me up, and I was so worried. Thereafter, it came at an incident when one day, who was our classmate, Kimeu started telling me, to go with her, and now it became a problem. So there was a day that Mzembiti accompanied me. Therefore, I rescued myself up to that point. And up to that moment, in the first instance when you're mentioning about the reflection, I think I still fear Kimeu and Umau.
You should, when you fear, even if you're afraid, do the right thing. Always do the right thing. Usikubali kufanyia mtu mwingine. Don't do somebody's homework, because it's their responsibility to do their homework.
But is it bad to work with Mwende?
No. To help one another, yes. But for somebody to force you to do their homework, that is lack of integrity. And we need that. We need integrity.
Muthoni, yes. Miaka 10, miaka 20, miaka 30 baadaye, unasema ya kwamba hadithi hii ulitoa kaunti ya Laikipia na Nyuki.
Yes.
All the time that you go home, have things changed? Hasa labda bado kuna watoto walemavu, shule ni zile, ile taswira imebadilika. Unadhani ya kwamba kuna kitu chochote, yani sasa maisha ya wanafunzi kama hawa yamekuwa afadhali?
Naweza sema yamebadilika. Sababu now in my former school, there's a section for people with disabilities, which was not there before.
Okay.
So that one, I applaud the Ministry of Education or whoever came up with the idea that to include, because these people, the people who have disabilities, are part of us. They are our children. They are our brothers and sisters. So anything that can be done to include even people, I know people with the physical disabilities have been taken, even people with mental disabilities.
Yes.
We are all the same. We are all the same in a way. We are all the same. So that inclusion is good. But there still needs to be, like, if a child is walking and they can't walk very well, and the road is rough, of course it's rough on them too. It's more rough on them than a person without disabilities. So we still need to do that. We still need to make our classes easily accessible. So where there's a stair, there's a ramp for somebody with disability. We still need books in Braille so that somebody who cannot see can use the Braille version to access the content. I am yet to see, I would love to see my books translated into Braille, so that all made into audio, so that somebody can listen to the books. There's a change, but there still needs to be done. A lot needs to be done.
Yes.
Yes.
Nafasi ya mwalimu katika kitabu hiki ilikuwa gani? Lakini uanze na kumwelezea mtazamaji ambaye hajakisoma kitabu hiki, ulimtumia mwalimu yupi, jinsia gani, na kwa nini ukamtumia huyo mwalimu katika hadithi hii?
Nafasi ya mwalimu Mr. Moria, huyo naye nilifikiria juu ya mwalimu wangu alikuwa anaitwa Mr. Gugi. Alinifunza Kizungu at Tegeti Primary School in Laikipia. Na aliona cheo changu mapema. Aliona kipawa cha uandishi mapema. Na he nurtured it. So Mr. Moria also does not just say Nzao's disability or the poverty that is in their home. He sees the potential and encourages this boy. And teachers change lives. I know teachers change a lot of the trajectory of a child's life. A child who was feeling diminished gets empowered by a teacher, because a teacher, especially in primary school, gets the child when in the formative years, so they can change a child right from the time the child is young. So that's why nilitumia Mr. Moria anajaribu hata kusaidia boma ndani kwa kina Nzao, so that Nzao is able to stay in school. Yes.
Swali hili jingine kabla sijampisha Nzao, hadithi au fasihi andishi inatumikaje kuponya? Kwa mfano sasa Nzao ni mtoto mwenye ulemavu. Sasa katika hali halisia akisoma hiki kitabu chako kitamsaidia vipi pia yeye kujipatia ile faraja na kusema kumbe pia watu wengine kama mimi wanapitia hali sawia?
Fasihi has a way of speaking without being very loud. Because when you see a situation where you can relate with, it makes somebody feel, I'm not alone in this world. I can do this like Nzao did. And hii riwaya pia inasaidia ulemavu saa zingine unaweza kuwa na tiba. Because finally, Nani has a club foot.
Yes.
And he gets healed, he gets cured in a way that he can almost run now. So pia ina mafunzo, it creates awareness, it informs, it challenges. It will challenge this child who feels, no, I'm disabled, so I should be out there begging. So it challenges that child that I can do better. Yes.
Nzao?
It had been long since I felt like crying, and at that particular instance, Mr. Moria came beside me and just helped me to somber up my mood. You know, when I went back home, I found a big padlock on our door. Then I started wondering, where is my grandfather and where is my mother? Where are they? I started looking at them around the square market to find them, but I couldn't find them. So Mr. Moria assisted me in getting them. But will this position help us now to come back to a normal position? Remember, my grandfather is only works at
he's hiyo michongo itatusaidia pia, hiyo michongo itatusaidia.
His carvings are not giving an input to him or to us as well. But he's trying as much as possible to assist us. But will this position change the situation that are in there? My mother herself is sick. But now where will she get the money? She is sick, but she is still going to the quarry. Do I go to the quarry as well now to assist my mother to get back to normalcy? But looking at the position, when my grandfather and my mother, I couldn't see them. But little did you know that I found them in the square market, hidden in a particular room that wasn't uncomfortable. Tears rolled down my chin. What a mess.
Muthoni, ilikuwa muhimu gani au ilikuwa muhimu kiasi gani wewe kuweka hadithi hii katika mandhari ya Mkenya na mtoto Mwafrika?
Ilikuwa muhimu kwanza kuwa na mhusika mwenye ulemavu. Kama vile nilivyosema awali, we don't find people with disabilities in many books.
Yes.
And yet, we are with them every day. Does it mean they live in a world of their own? No, they live in our own world. So that's why I wanted to have the main character as somebody with a disability, so that also to normalize that the only difference is that they have a disability. Otherwise, everything else is the same. Na pia ilikuwa pia kuwa na funzo na kuwa na to challenge beliefs, people's beliefs. When you look at language, when you look, especially now, like my Kikuyu language,
Yes.
we call somebody with who is with a disability, kioje, as if it's a thing. You know, instead of saying we have made, when you call somebody a cripple, for example, in English, it means there's nothing else about him, just that he's a cripple. It's not a human being. You're not seeing the human being in him. You're just seeing the disability. And that disability is not that person. It's just one of the things. But in totality, that's a whole human being. So that's what I wanted to challenge society to think more and realize that a disability does not become that person. That person does not become their disability just because they have a disability. Yes. So that's why I wanted to put that out, that that person should not be pitied, but be treated with empathy and understanding. Yes.
Tukifanya ulinganisho, unajua kwamba umezuru sasa nchi nyingi. Unadhani ya kwamba mtiririko sawia ungekuwa labda ughaibuni au Marekani ungekuwa vivyo hivyo? Ama jinsi walemavu wanavyoshughulikiwa Marekani ni tofauti na bara la Afrika?
Ni tofauti sababu wanashughulikiwa zaidi. Wanapata matibabu rahisi. Wanapata buildings are designed with them in mind. Wanapata nafasi ya masomo. You realize in Africa, it's changing a bit now. But when I was growing up, people with, especially with the severe disability, were hidden in some rooms. So there is that difference, that they're given a voice. And I think that's what we need to do. Give them a voice so that we are all served on the same table. Yes.
The Carving ndio ilishinda tuzo ya Codbat.
Yeah, BAT Award for African Writing 2018.
African Writing.
Yes.
Kwa nini kapata tuzo?
According to the judges, what they said was that I was able to bring out the character of Nzao with empathy and understanding, rather than Nzao being just a victim. He is a full member of society. Yes.
Na sasa baada ya kupata tuzo, kongole mwanzo kwa sababu nilipata taarifa, iliathiri vipi au ilimarisha vipi uandishi wako sasa kama mwandishi hapa nchini Kenya?
Of course, anytime a writer gets an award, it gives an affirmation that you're doing the right thing. I remember when I first wrote this book, I challenged myself and used oral narratives. My husband, he's a teacher, he's called Mwalimu Dirango, is always my first editor. And when he read the book, the first manuscript, he told me, I have always been sure about your books, but I'm not sure about this. And my answer to him was, this is either going to be a win or a flop. When I was shortlisted for the prize, I knew even before the winners were announced that it was going to be a win. Because also I wanted to use, Africans tuna peana hadithi. It's our way of life.
Yes.
So I wanted to use that style. So it gave me an affirmation that I was doing the right thing. And of course, getting the accolade also opened other avenues for me to get published elsewhere. I worked with an organization called nabu.org, where we write stories for young children, and those stories are uploaded onto an app where a child, even in the village, can access that book using a phone.
Yes.
So it has opened up a lot of avenues for me. Yes, to be
salamu nyingi actually kutoka kwa Adipo, na unajua tukimtaja Adipo Sidang
we call him Emperor.
Naam?
We call him Emperor.
Emperor. Oh.
Sidang, yes.
Kuniambia kuhusu hilo jina. Kitabu chake cha Parliament of Worlds ambacho kimekuwa kikigonga vichwa vya habari sasa. Nyinyi kama waandishi, changamoto zipi ambazo mnapitia hapa nchini Kenya na pia bara la Afrika kwa ujumla?
uandishi ni ngumu. Kwanza uandishi ni ngumu, na pia kupata somebody to publish your book, especially as a new person, ni ngumu pia. Pia changamoto lingine ni the publishers are not always faithful in paying the royalties on time. Imagine it's only 10%, 10 to 12%, and yet somebody withholds those royalties. Some publishers are very good. They pay in April, that's when you get your royalties, they pay. So that, because also I'm making a living out of my writing.
Yes.
And I would like that to see that recognize. Hiyo ndio changamoto kidogo tunapitia. Na pia the VAT that was added on books. How do you tax knowledge? We should not tax knowledge, because knowledge creates wealth. So don't tax knowledge, so that we are able to create wealth for us and for the country. Wakati ninapata kitabu changu kimepaa mpaka kikaenda nchi za ng'ambo, nalipwa, sio? Hiyo pesa inaingia Kenya. I'm bringing foreign currency, isn't it?
Yes.
So writers should be encouraged, because the creative industry is one of those unexplored potentials in Kenya that we should be able to sell our creative content here in Kenya and all over the world. So the more we are encouraged, the more we are going to be able to bring in that much needed revenue that we need in Kenya. But don't tax knowledge.
Don't tax knowledge.
Yes.
Kuna kauli hii ya ukitaka kumficha Mwafrika kitu, basi kiweke kwenye vitabu au kifiche kwenye vitabu.
Imepitwa na wakati. Imepitwa na, people are reading. A few years ago when I first moved to Nairobi, at the GOtv Institute,
yes.
GOtv Institute really supports literature. We will have these book launches and you'll see a few people. Now you go to a book launch, you are going to find a full house. So we read, people are reading. And I actually thought young people are not reading, but look at them. Look at the way they are behaving now. It is because they're reading those set books. They are reading other books. It's opening up their minds. It's awakening them. And that's we can always say the future is bright.
Kwa hivyo wewe kama mwandishi unadhani ya kwamba sasa tumeanza kupiga hatua
kabisa,
hakitafichwa tena kwenye vitabu?
Hapana. Hapana.
Nzao?
It was 2 weeks that I waited to receive my essay, and of course there was Birds of Zimbani, and of course how people can use the environment, or rather how people can take care of the environment. These were 2 essays that were written by some of the students, some of the pupils right there at Zimbani Primary. And I so much wanted and waited for my essay. And thereafter, the teacher in charge announced that my book, or my essay rather, The Carving, was also part of the winning essays. I was so happy, so glad that this was now a dream that I wanted so much now to come to life. Now this position, of course, after the students received their essays and the announcements were made at the assembly, my heart was grateful. Now, Doctor was part of the people that were present in the assembly, and he opted to sponsor the students that had performed best in the essays. At that particular moment, I felt and I thought, if he's sponsoring these essays and of course to go to the competition on the county level at Kitui, I will also manage to be part of that. So on the next day morning, I dressed up quickly. Of course, my grandfather was part of the people that took me to the school, and we boarded the van and all of us were seated in the vehicle. After that, we all started the journey to the competitions at Kitui. What a great day. I kept asking the driver, are we there yet? Are we there yet? And of course, little did I know that we had arrived at Kitui to just present our essays, and it was full of gladness.
Thank you. Now, Muthoni, tukiwa ndani ya darasa amezungumzia kuhusu hizo shughuli za kutuzwa, hafla wakati wa kufunga shule. Nakumbuka kuna kisa kimoja ambacho uliandika, Nzao alitajwa akiwa mwisho lakini he was the best student. Alafu kulikuwa na yale majuto ya kwamba na nishawaalika wazazi wangu, itakuwa vipi ya kwamba sasa mimi sitatuzwa tena? Kwa nini ukachora ile taswira pale? Na enzi hizo sijui kama bado wanafanya sherehe hizo za uko karibu na mwalimu, sijui kama bado wanafanya hizo sherehe za matuzo. Ilikuwa inakupatia hisia gani kipindi hiko? Kwa najua kwamba ulikuwa mwanafunzi mwerevu, kuna mwingine ambaye hakuwa anaenda nyumbani na tuzo yoyote.
When I was writing that,
Naam.
there are always challenges in life. There's always wins and there is always losses. So I just wanted to show that as a student, there are challenges you're going to go through. There are a competition, even in a school, will give that child that hiyo motisha ya kuweza kufanya vyema zaidi. Vile nilianza uandishi, nilianza actually nilikuwa standard 7, and a composition that I wrote was pasted on the notice board in the school, and this one made me think, perhaps I could be a writer. So I wanted to reflect that with Nzao's writing also, with Nzao also emerging like the best student, would also show this child who is not just disability, who is struggling. We are poor in our house, we don't have food, we don't have money, that they can compete on the world stage and be able to win. I know with CBC we are encouraging more cooperation than competition, which is a good thing. But there's always going to be that child who does better. That's why we are having Olympics, a competition, so that we can see who does better. It doesn't necessarily mean the person is better in everything. You can be good in this thing and another child can be good in another thing. Yes.
Unadhani ya kwamba sasa tutapoteza hilo kwa sababu umetaja kifanya huo ulinganisho, hiyo motisha, umefuzu vyema kushinda wengine?
Sioni kama labda the competition also can be harmful, where a child will feel that they are diminished. But because CBC also encourages the growth of talents, that means there is going to be a child who can draw better than the other, or do that carving better than the other. And if we nurture that talent, that child is going to be able to make a living out of that talent. Because when we focus solely on the book education, we sort of negate other talents that are available. We have seen how our musicians are doing well, how our artists are doing well, and we need to encourage that creativity. We need to encourage thinking that, to discourage thinking that I just need to be number one in class. It's a very narrow way of thinking. We need a broad-based way of recognizing talent. And I think, and in fact, part of that book, because Nzao wins in life not because he's good in academics, but because of the carving that he does, working with his hands. And he's taught by who? His grandfather, who is probably illiterate. Yes, so those skills should be encouraged. Yes.
Nzao?
We have selected 5 people whose items satisfy the criteria of being creative, well throughout and also well presented. The overall winner will receive 100,000 Kenya shillings and a certificate, while the other 4 winners will receive 20,000 shillings each and a certificate. So I felt my palms go damp and realized that I was nervous and I was sweating. Was I not reading this thing? But later on, listen to this. So the judge turned to Anthony Ngumba, the pupil from Mataliku Primary School, and praised him for his artwork. And the 4 winners went to sit down. The chief judge rose once again to speak. All the 5 top items showed great creativity, and we had trouble deciding who would be the overall winner. The item that was the winner not only showed creativity, but it's also unique and reflects a part of the community's heritage. Okay, that was no one found. Now listen. Nzao Muya of Zumbani Primary School, could you please come forward? Right. With every step I took, I felt very happy. Now listen to this, ma'am. However, even before I stopped on the raised platform in the hall, I saw two of the judges holding a dummy check with my name on it, which they handed over to Dr. Mudamba. Now, my moments are finally here. What do you think, Mama, if, what will we do with this money? Of course, it's a good money. We, you know, with your health condition, with the situation at home, I feel it's more nice. It will assist us.
It will. Na unajua Nzao, cha muhimu ni kuwa hii pesa itakuwezesha uende sekondari. Yeah. Ukifanya vizuri kwa mtihani wa mwisho, wako wa mwisho, unaweza enda sekondari.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that narration.
Okay, that narration is when now these kids are at the finals, they're presenting the artwork that they have created. And we have just spoken, vizuri to nurture talent. So every child has what they have, they're presenting. Nzao presents a carving of Nzabani rock. Nzabani rock is in Ukambani. I lived in Ukambani for 7 years. And in all the places I have lived, there's a story based on that area. I have a story from my home area, Nanyuki. I have a story from Kitale, where I have lived. I have a story in Nairobi, in Gashia, I have lived. I have stories in Thika, where I live now. So this one also, what I wanted in that narration is to show, what do you see in your neighborhood? There's a good editor of mine called Lucas Wafula who always says, look at here first before you look at there. So what do you say? So when Nzao was thinking, what do I present? What do I carve? He looked around him and saw the feature of Nzabani rock and said, why don't I carve that? So looking at our community. And I think that is one of the things that CBC encourages. Use the materials that are around you to be creative. So that's what the narration was about. And Nzao wins. And that provides, that talent that he has, provides an avenue for him to improve the circumstances in their home. Yes, which is a good thing.
Chaguo lako la majina yalikuwa tofauti. Kimeu, Moria, Mwende, Nzao. Hawa ni watu kutoka kabila moja, ama kwa nini ukafanya huo mchanganyiko?
Mostly ni kabila moja, but kama Mwende anaitwa Mwende Ochieng, because we realized that you cannot say these days that in Kitui you'll always find only Kambas, or in Nyeri you'll find only Kikuyus. We are mixed up. And we'll have, like I have said, I'm a Kikuyu. I've lived in Ukambani. I've lived in Kitale with Luya. I've lived with diverse communities. So that's what I wanted to bring into the book. That we have said, the Gen Z say we are tribalish.
Yes.
And I think that should be the call now, that it's not about tribe anymore. I see the politicians, even the games they're playing are tribal games. But we should go beyond that. It's beyond tribe. It's a Kenyan. We are Kenyans. And tribe comes second. Yes.
Nzao?
Mama, you know, this particular moment, you know, we're supposed to leave very early to go to Emburia Hospital, where we'll meet Dr. Mudamba. And that particular moment, we started our journey very early morning when it was still dark, just to pave way for the light. And my mother, of course, took a step forward, of course, to take the moments of our morning and go straight to Emburia Hospital, where we will receive treatment. Luckily, I found so many other children like me. There are others that were not using crutches, and there are others that were using wheelchairs. And I felt I am not only alone. And there was the moment where everything now changed. Remember the check that I told you about that was given the county competition. That check will assist us now. You get your medication, I get my treatment, and therefore the journey to medication really starts. I wanted to thank Dr. Mudhamba and all the nurses that took care of us. I was so eager to see other patients, other children getting the support as well. I felt so great that now my life is now going to get back to normal. You see, my feet will now get to normal. I'll at least walk normally, despite the fact that I'll sit arudi normal, you know, but I'll still walk properly just as other human beings. But Mama, do you think that you will recover?
Yes, of course. Ile furaha niko nayo kukuona mwanangu. Nitapona. And hatutaenda kufanya kazi in the quarry again. The quarry made me sick. Yeah, because of the dust. Now I don't have to go back there anymore. I remember the times I was working also in the quarry. I remember the time I was helping in the quarry. It was so traumatizing, and I really assist you, and you were sick, and I tried it so much better to help us go through it. And I was supposed to study. I was supposed to go to the quarry. You know, I couldn't even face Mwende. I couldn't face Mwende with my dirty uniform. It was so bad. But now things are coming back to life.
Sile kwa nini Nzao alikuwa anafanyishwa kazi sasa. Tuingie kwenye ulingo wa kifasihi. Na labda unaweza kueleza nafasi ya Nzao katika kufanya yale maamuzi ya kumsaidia kuwasaidia wazazi wake.
Nzao, actually the mother and the grandfather are against him working in the quarry. But ni ile you are pushed into a corner. You have no choice but to work in a quarry. But what brings things? It is because society is failing such children. Because there should be a way that those children with disabilities, families with children with disabilities are assisted so that they are able to take care of these children, especially those who don't have the means to do so. So that a child does not have to go work. And kids are working in very dire situations because what do they do? Do they starve? Do they not go naked? They are forced to. So that's why I brought, of course, the government is against that. And even in the story, we see that the children officers will visit those quarries so that kids are removed from there. But if you remove that child and you take the child back home and there's no way of feeding that child, have you helped them? So it behoves all of us as a society to assist where we can, to provide a way for such a Nzao's mother to earn a living without having to go to work in a quarry. It's our responsibility to take care of all the children in the society. You see them in town here begging. Why should we have children begging? Where are we failing as a society? That a child, a small child, is there with a bowl begging. Why have we failed that much? Do you know, when our parents are growing up, you would never see beggars. Why? Because society took care of their own. Why is it that we cannot take care of our own now, that they have to beg in the street? And it's a challenge to all of us. Where are we failing as a society, as a government, that children have to beg in the streets, have to work in quarries, have to work as house helps? Where are we failing as a society? It's a question we need to ask ourselves. Yes.
Yeah, asante sana mtazamaji, zikiwa zimekatika dakika 28, tunachukua mapumziko mafupi tu. Endelea kusema nasi kupitia mitandao yetu ya kijamii TV47.